Hey everyone, welcome back. So today I wanted to share a little bit about the trade-offs of moving to New Zealand. So I know when we're all thinking about moving to New Zealand, we really deep dive into all the practical stuff around visas and pathways to residency and financial stuff and how-to guides and all that kind of stuff, enrolling the kids, looking for housing, all the practical stuff, which is all 100% valid. But one of the things that I wanted to share and that I've learned over the last 3 years of being here now is that there's more to it than just that. There's trade-offs and that, you know, it's just different. It's things that aren't quite the same as what they were at home. And I want to go through those things and just share with you because I think some of those things could be a deal breaker. You could get here and you could financially do really well. You could potentially have pathways to residency be on the green list. So you can definitely make New Zealand your home and become a citizen. But with those trade-offs, is it worth it to you? Is it something that you would really want? And that's what I want to talk through so that you can really, hopefully, if you're listening to this before you've made the move, you can think about those sort of things over and above all the other stuff that you've got to look at practically and, financially, etc. You can think about these things too and see if these are ticking the right boxes as well and making it worthwhile for you. So I'll give you an example. One of the first things is New Zealand is really distance-wise, I say it tongue-in-cheek, but we're in the arse end of the world. We're literally on the other end of the world. We're on an island in the middle of nowhere, I call it. We're far away from the rest of Europe, not around the corner from America either. Even Asia, Australia, whatever, Australia being the closest to us, it's a good 4-hour flight. So we're really not close to the rest of the world and other countries. So when you move here, one of the big things with that distance is family. So a big thing for me was you can't just get home quickly. Never mind the cost to be able to fly yourself and the rest of your family back to whichever country you come from, which is costly because we're far away from the rest of the world. Not to mention while I'm recording this, Trump is doing all these fun stuff in the Middle East and fuel prices are going up, means airfares are going up, etc. But in general, it's just expensive to fly from New Zealand to anywhere else in the rest of the world. So to get home to family it's not a quick thing. You really got to keep in mind that distance you're going to have between yourselves and your family. Now, maybe you'll think, that's awesome. I'm far away from a mother-in-law, or I'm far away from, my sister or brother or whoever drives you, or whichever family member drives you nuts. But I can tell you that after being away now for just over 3 years, you miss that family. There's times when you would really want to be able to not only just pick up a phone and talk to your family, but I want that hug, or I want that face-to-face coffee or chat or anything like that with my sister or my mom. I miss that. And especially when times get tough here, your kids get sick or you're sick and the kids are sick and things are tough at work. And you used to be able to just pick up a phone and ask for help. And your sister would be there, or your mother would be there, or whatever else. So you had family to support you. And not only that they would support you and be there for you, but also those special occasions, It's tough around Christmas. Christmas used to be big about bringing all the family together. And I've mentioned it before. Now, you don't have all that family together. It's just your immediate family. It's a lot quieter, your Christmas. So you got to keep that in mind. I mean, you got to also think about Easters. We've just had Easter now. Easter was a time to be together with family. So you kind of got to make new family or support here to start spending those special occasions with. But you really got to keep it in mind. The distance away from your family and your friends, it's a big deal. It's not easy just to get on a plane and see them. It's not quick. And never mind the cost and everything else. So you keep that in mind with the emotional side that goes with being so far away from family, especially when times get tough. And that's when you would rely on them. That's when you would rely not on your family, but your friends. They're the people that would see you through those tough times. They were your support structure. And now you've got to be doing all of that when times do get tough here without that family and without that support structure. I'm not saying you can't pick up a phone, do a video call. Of course, you can still do that, but it's not the same. It is challenging, especially sometimes even when it does get tough, family would see you regularly and they would know when something's up and they would pick it up and talk to you and almost not force you to talk about it, but they would get it out of you and start helping you through it. Whereas here, it's easy just to ignore, So when times get tough, you just don't make that phone call. Just keep quiet and they'll assume everything's going okay. Vice versa, you don't even know if things are going on with them and if they're having tough times, because sometimes they may be too proud to tell you about it over the phone. So it's hard. That distance with family can be a tough one. So really keep that in mind if you're considering moving to New Zealand. That's one of the things. Another thing was the pace of life. Now, a lot of people talk about the pace of life here in New Zealand, and they say it's a slower pace. Now, that's a tough one for me because, I come from South Africa, and there is that saying about African time. So maybe, certain things in Africa, they just damn slow or they don't happen at all. So I'm still experiencing a lot of services here that it may not be quick, but definitely still happens. And some of them are way faster than was back in South Africa. So pace with regards to services, I don't know. The only one I can really highlight as a difference is medical. So in the medical field with doctors and specialists and everything like that, it is awesome here in New Zealand that they have a good health system, that public health system that functions, it works, and we can debate it because some people would say it's rotten, it's terrible, it doesn't work, whatever. At the end of the day, the government does fund and pay for your medical services here. You may wait a very long time for a lot of different services, especially specialists or operations or anything that needs to happen. And you could debate how that works, doesn't work, whatever else. But at the end of the day, they do pay for it and it does happen and you do get it for free. In a lot of other countries, you don't have that benefit from the government. And even if you do have the benefit from the government, sometimes it's falling apart and genuinely doesn't work and you don't get the good care unless you have private medical. So back in South Africa that I compare it to is the public sector medical. It's rotten in South Africa. You go to a public hospital or anything like that, gee whiz, it's like you're playing with your life. You don't even know if you'll make it in public, in my opinion. So you needed private medical to be able to survive and have decent treatment in South Africa. But private medical in South Africa was really good. The turnaround times with doctors and specialists, I felt was really good. And I listened to my other podcasts. You'll hear my medical history. I've had cancer, all the rest of it. So I've been through the medical systems and been through a lot with a lot of specialists, a ton of specialists. And in South Africa, it was quick and on private. It worked really well, very efficient. Whereas here, even with the private medical here, yeah, it does push you ahead of the queue on a lot of things, but it's still very slow, very, very slow. And you also got to put it into perspective. We're in a country now in New Zealand where I think the population is under 6 million. We're like 5.5 million people in the entire country. I think in Australia, Sydney alone, there's like 5.5, 6 million people in Sydney, never mind the whole of Australia. You look at South Africa, the whole of South Africa has something like close to, 66 or 67 million people, close to 70 million people. That it's a vast difference in the size of people, population, which means there's less specialists available. That's why we open our doors or our gates or whatever you want to call it to the rest of the world, meaning New Zealand, to try bring in those skills that we need because we don't have enough of those skills. And in the medical side, we can see that tenfold. We don't have enough doctors, nurses, specialists in a lot of different fields in the medical area. So never mind just the government support and the government health system and how it takes long to pay for things or get you referred or whatever else. It's a ripple effect because those specialists are just not available. We just don't have them here. So if we think of pace of life in that sort of way, services-wise, medical is definitely one that stands out for me. That's something you got to keep in mind. It does work. Don't get me wrong. I've done a podcast on the health system as well, so go listen to it. And I rave about the health system and how people genuinely care here. They genuinely do. But it is slow if you're going through public. If you go through private, it is a bit faster. But even so, if there's no specialists available, there's still going to be a waiting list for them. So that's something to keep in mind on the pace of life. The other side to pace of life kind of leads into my next point around career. But starting on career is, I found in South Africa, the work ethic of people, I was lucky enough to have a lot of flexibility, but you seem to work a little bit harder. So maybe the work-life balance, maybe it was because I was younger, maybe it was because I was more driven, I don't know. But the work-life balance was tough back in South Africa. But we did have the flexibility to own your time as long as you delivered and you got X done. So maybe I was lucky with the industry I was in, the companies that I was working back there, but the expectation was a lot and they expected a lot of you. And even as South Africans in my career back in South Africa, as much as they expect a lot from you, it was also not just specific to your job. You're expected to think a little bit more out the box and deliver even more. So you do a lot more. I find here they're very focused on what your skill set is, and that's all that's required from you. So you kind of like stay in your lane. But what they also find is they're not clock watchers as per se. And yes, there's flexibility, but most people that I work with, and again, maybe it's the industry I'm in, find a lot of people, they like do their Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 5. They have their hour lunch break. They don't do more than they need to. That's kind of where they stick to. So yeah, maybe that's what helps with getting the work-life balance. I don't know, but the pace, if we bring it back to pace in the work, it's like they slow at getting things done. They slow at making decisions sometimes. I find like things can drag. In South Africa, sometimes I'd find in corporate, especially, I'd make decisions quicker and things would get done quicker. So we could pivot and, deal with things and grow quicker. I don't know. That's what I found, that the work ethic was a faster pace. Here it's more laid back. Tomorrow's another day. Stay in your lanes, work 8 to 5, have your hour lunch. I don't know. Good thing, bad thing, don't know. I'm just saying keep that in mind when you're thinking pace with these things I'm talking about, but also leading into career. Also touching on career a little bit more, another thing that you'll want to realize, like I mentioned, New Zealand is a very small country. So we're literally in 2 islands. We're only 5.5 million people, which means the amount of working people in your industry is a lot smaller. So opportunities for growth and career development are reduced. If you're in a country where there's a lot more people and a bigger population, there's just naturally more businesses, more opportunities, more career growth available to you. Here, it is less. What it also means here, and what I've found, is people know people. And I'm not saying people don't hire people, and it wasn't all about connections back in South Africa and who you knew. Yes, there was a lot of that as well. But here, because it's even smaller, your industry is smaller, your network is smaller, it even limits you even more, especially as an immigrant coming across you. You've got to make those networks all over again and those relationships all over again. So if you're thinking about a trade-off, another thing is also just remembering with your career. I felt back in South Africa, I'd worked for 20 years. I'd built a lot of relationships, a lot of connections. So you could move around within your industry, leverage other people, relationships to get things done. Here, no one knows you. Yeah, you've got a CV, you've got a track record, but they don't know you. So you're building that all over again. So you're building those work relationships again. You're building those connections all over again, which takes time. And sometimes you even take a step back in your career so that just to get the foot in the door and start working your way up again and starting to prove yourself. But then you also get where, like I told you in the workplace, they're very much about, okay, you stay in your lane, you do what you do, you work your hours, whatever else. So you might have heard of tall poppy syndrome. Sometimes you want to push a bit harder, you want to do a bit more. You start standing out. Other people don't like that as much. So in Korea, it can be really tough because now, as much as you were trying to work harder to do more, to further yourself and get further ahead, some people may not like that. And then they resent you and they don't want to work with you and they don't want to collaborate with you. So it can be so hard with your career as well. So there's a lot of things like this you got to keep in mind, and we've got to adjust, and it takes time. So these are some of the things you also got to think of as trade-offs. I'm not saying it can't change over time, but just know, from my experience, those are the things I've had to deal with in my career and the workspace. The other thing that it kind of leads now into is also cost of living. So you'll hear about it from a lot of people, and there's a lot of debates that, the cost of living in New Zealand is through the roof. You can't live here. Salaries aren't enough. Don't come here. Go to Australia. Go somewhere else. Now, I'm not saying it's not high. It is high here, and it is in many other parts of the world. Also, like I mentioned, with Trump and what he's doing at the moment, at the time of this recording in the Middle East and everything like that, is making things even worse. So the cost of living is high here in New Zealand. It's not cheap to live here. Housing is astronomical, in my opinion, from what I'm used to. I think it's like 5 times, if not more, expensive to buy property here in New Zealand, especially in Auckland. It's even more. It's nuts. What we could get in South Africa versus here, it's like, it boggles the mind. It really does. So property is definitely one of those, but food as well. But it kind of also boils down to take a step back and realize we're an island with 5.5 million people. The industry's small. We have to import a lot of stuff. We can't be self-sufficient and whatever. It costs money to bring all that stuff in. It's, because there's only so many jobs available at different levels and whatever else, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So you've got to adjust and think differently. You've got to adjust your lifestyle, be prepared to do that. know that in South Africa, you may have been further up the food chain in corporate and making a lot more money. So you had potentially bigger homes because they were cheaper, better cars, whatever else. You got to work your way up. I'm not saying it's not possible here. I'm just saying it's not as easy. The cost of living is high, and some people generally struggle, and they're finding it very, very difficult, even on 2 salaries, to really not necessarily make ends meet, but to thrive, to get to that point, because we're playing catch up as immigrants. A lot of us have come later on in life. Some of us come with extra funds and money and whatever else, so we can catch up. That's great, especially if you come from other countries where your currency is just about as strong as the New Zealand dollar. That's great. But for those of us from South Africa, currency was terrible. So our money was worth 10 times less than whatever the amount was, because we converted to New Zealand dollars. As well as now taking a step back in your career, trying to work your way back up, spending all your funds to get here, playing a lot of catch up. So on top of it, with the cost of living, it's tough. I mean, I'll give you an example. It's also very seasonal with what you import. I'll go as basic as avos. Some people talk about avos. It blew my mind. I love avos, but I only eat avos now in season, because for the cost of one avo, I can't remember what it was. It was something ridiculous when we first got here in the first year, and it was out of season. I think it was like $10 for one avo, which is like 100 Rand for one avo. I was like, they're nuts. Why would you ever eat avos? You just won't. But then when it goes to in season, it drops dramatically. And it's like that with a lot of different foods, different fruits, different imported stuff, whatever the case may be. So you just got to keep that in mind. We are a smaller country. We are an island. We are in the middle of nowhere. We do have to import a lot of stuff, and that costs money. So the cost of living is higher. I'm not a financial guru or anything like that, so please don't quote me on all of this. But what I'm picking up, in my own opinion, is we get a lot, of money here from our agriculture, and it's from our housing. And the rest of the stuff, a lot of other stuff, is actually imported. So it's tough. It's not easy here when it comes to the cost of living. I do think you can make it work. I've seen a lot of people that after a couple of years, they start being entrepreneurial. They start up their own businesses, even if it's small companies or whatever else, and some of them can really play catch up and work hard and can make it work. So please, I'm not trying to be doom and gloom. I'm just trying to make sure you're not coming here with the blinkers on, okay? Over and above all the practical stuff, the financial stuff, everything else that I've spoken about to get here, I'm trying to talk about the other trade-offs, the other things that you start experiencing over time. So cost of living, that's definitely one of them. The other thing is on the social side. You got to remember, as much as you miss your family, another thing is also your friends. So maybe you're lucky enough to come across and you're immigrating here, and you've got people, and you've got friends that you can just naturally integrate with and start building friends and support structures. Freaking awesome. That's awesome. But for some of us, like myself, we don't have that. So it is tough making those friends, especially when you're a little bit older and you're busy now. You're busy with work, or you're busy with the kids, whatever else. You can try with some of the parents at your kids' schools and everything like that, but sometimes that even doesn't work because there's different cultural backgrounds. The Kiwis, very friendly. I'm not saying they're not friendly. They are. But the majority of them have already grown up with their friends. They've got their support structures. So it's tough sometimes to get into that friendship circle, to crack that nut and be part of their circle. They've got their friends already. So they'll be friendly to you and nice to you, surface level. They're not letting you into the circle, I find that it's probably easier to make friends with other immigrants because they understand and they get you and they've gone through the same thing. So sometimes that's a way you can make friends. I think the point I'm trying to make is just, you're going to have to put yourself out there. You're going to have to put in effort to go make those friendships and relationships. It's tough losing all those friendships. Don't underestimate those friends that you've built over time, or those friends that you had in the workplace, or wherever your friends were back in your home country. They were the ones that were there to support you. You're having an argument with your spouse or whatever else, you go talk to your best buddy, and you could go for a beer or a drink or a coffee or whatever and just chat to them and just bend their ear, and then they could support you and you're back on track again. It's tough not having that. You've got to build that all over again. And it doesn't just happen from day dot. You've got to build that trust, and it takes time again. And sometimes you put yourself out there, you start making friends, and then just, after a little while, you've put in a lot of effort, but then you just don't gel. It just doesn't work. Even if it's a month, 2 or 3 later, then you're like, I've got to start all over again, find new friends. So just know the social side, it is also a tough side. It's not easy. So really think about that as one of the trade-offs as well. It's something that you've got to think about. Yes, I have got a community here on the inner circle. And yes, we're trying to build a community where you can start making those friends and getting those connections going. And yes, we've also got apps like Match Family, so you can try and match your families up. So we're trying to address a lot of this stuff. But I'm trying to give you this information so that if you're at the beginning stages of looking into immigrating, don't only look at the costs, don't only look at the skills and the pathways. Also give a little bit of thought to the trade-offs. It's a beautiful country. I love it here. I really, really do. I believe it's the best thing we've done for our family and our kids. But it's still not the easiest, and it's not perfect. It does have problems, okay? There are things like this that can be challenging, and it's stuff that you've got to work on to get over. And don't go into it blind. That's what I'm trying to do. If I had to say who I think does well as an immigrant and who goes from not just surviving to thriving, and I'm not saying I've got it perfect yet. I've only been here 3 years. I think we're definitely heading in the right direction and we're doing well, but I wouldn't say we've nailed it as yet. But I'd say one of the big things is I see people that have done well and they're really thriving here. They're the ones that they haven't forgotten where they've come from and they haven't forgotten their cultures, but they've really made an effort to integrate here and settle here in the cultures, the friendships, the way of life, the different ways of doing things. They've embraced it. And they've really, they're trying, they're putting themselves up there. They don't keep thinking and comparing everything to, when we were back in wherever or back home, we had this. They stop thinking past. They start embracing now, the present, living in the present, accepting the new challenges, the new ways of life, and trying to embrace it and see how can we make it work for you now while you're here, and make it home. Become a Kiwi, or an immigrant Kiwi, or whatever you want to call us. But you start embracing that. Those are the people that I feel move from just surviving to thriving. So really keep that in mind. You really got to ask yourself, and that's why we also do those pros and cons. And I know some people think, Brett, you pumping that pros and cons thing, it's such a pain. But you got to think about these things and really try and understand, is the whole reason you're leaving the country you're in, whatever that reason may be, for coming here to New Zealand and all these other challenges you're going to have, do they outweigh the issues that you have back home? Or the reasons you have back home for wanting to move? It's just, I just want you to think it through. That's all I'm trying to do. Okay. Think about all these different things. It's a beautiful country, but it's not perfect. There are going to be tough days. This takes work. This takes grit. This takes, perseverance and consistency, taking every single day to keep going at it. Even 3 years in, I still have days and I'm like, what the hell? Okay. But that's also why I'm trying to pay it forward and I'm trying to help you and I'm trying to get you to think about these things. So that's really why and what I wanted to share today. I hope this possibly resonates with some of you. Hopefully it helps some of you as well. It's really all I'm trying to do is share this information from my perspective, what I've gone through, so that you can be well informed in making clear decisions before you decide to pull the trigger and move here. So that's really why I'm sharing today. So with that, I'll say cheers, and you guys must keep well until next time. Cheers.